Gabriel Silva, the son of famed UFC veteran Anderson Silva, entered the ring on November 5th to compete at Fighters Rep 11, where he faced Vincent Familari for the IKF Light Middleweight Championship and was brutally knocked out in the first round. Stick around till the end of the video for more UFC news and to find out what exactly happened at Fighter Rep 11, the veteran UFC fighter and his sons. The charming Brazilian fighter originally came from poverty in Sao Paulo, where he lived with his aunt and uncle. He dabbled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a kid, but before he got serious about martial arts, did you know that he worked as a burger flipper at a local McDonald's? Who'd have guessed? Silva retired from the UFC in 2020 after a 3-fight losing skid and went into boxing, where he reignited his career with a knockout victory against Tito Ortiz in September at Triller Legends 2 and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. by split decision. He holds an MMA fight record of 34-11-0 with 1 no contest. At this point, it's unclear who he'll face next or when he'll fight again. He has held the record for the longest title reign in UFC history when he ruled over the middleweight division. And Anderson Silva's career in combat sports hasn't even come to an end yet, but his sons have already started following in their father's footsteps. Silva has been a huge supporter of his sons Gabriel and Kalyl Silva in their kickboxing endeavors. Anderson Silva still retains a number of UFC records, including the most Knockout of the Night awards and knockdowns in UFC history. However, there's probably a lot more that we don't know about the Spider that enthusiasts are unaware of. Both Gabriel and Kalyl Silva both are amateur kickboxers with strong fight records and notable victories. Both competed at the Fighters Rep 11 event in Los Angeles. Kalyl Silva, Gabriel Silva's younger brother, was the first to fight in the fight and subsequently won by unanimous decision against Melo Pamuk only 3 months after making his fight debut with an 8-second knockout. Gabriel, on the other hand, suffered a knockout loss in 1:43 of the first round, and we'll get to that bit first before we move on to the superstar little brother. Gabriel Silva knocked out cold. With less than a minute left in the round, Vincent Familari swarmed Gabriel Silva with a flurry of blows, signaling the beginning of Silva's demise as he was unable to find his balance and required a standing 8 count, which the referee started and stopped at 8, allowing Silva to continue the fight. Soon after, Familari ramped up the heat on Silva, backing him into a corner and striking him with wild overhands before a massive right put him down onto the canvas, just like how his father Anderson Silva used to do in the UFC with his opponents. Gabriel Silva's opponent, Vincent Familari, commended him and expressed satisfaction with his performance after the battle. "I knew that I had to stay on him. I couldn't let him recover," Vincent told MMA Fighting in a post-fight interview. The series of shots was enough to secure a devastating first-round knockout finish, winning Familari the IKF light middleweight title and extending his amateur record to 10-5 with the victory, while Gabriel Silva's record slipped to 5-1. Silva's ambitions in the combat sport should not be derailed as a result of the defeat, though, as he had otherwise shown a lot of promise, but came up short this time around due to sloppy defense. Knockouts are a part of the game, and they frequently occur in combat sports, particularly in the UFC. Kickboxing is particularly deadly because there is no ground game, and the fight is fought standing up with a variety of offensive techniques. Anderson Silva made a name for himself in the UFC as a fearsome striker who dominated the sport with viral knockouts. He'll now focus on assisting his son in moving forward and dealing with this tragic loss. Gabriel Silva will be aiming to make a rapid recovery after taking the necessary time off. Anderson Silva, former UFC champion, he'll be on hand to assist. Tell us what you thought about the fight in the comment section below and click the bell icon to turn your push notifications on so you don't miss out on a single upload. Kalyl scores 8-second knockout in kickboxing debut. The oldest son, Gabriel Silva, was unsuccessful in his most recent fight, but the younger sibling, with his remarkable performance so early on in his career, makes him to appear to be an Anderson Silva 2.0. On August 13th, 2021 in California, the son of former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva made his kickboxing debut at Fighters Rep 10. Kalyl Silva proved that the apple didn't fall far from the tree in his family after defeating Anthony Reynaga in a 159-pound bout in just a few seconds. The high left kick that ended the battle came just 5 seconds into the fight, and the referee called it off 6 seconds later. 3 months later, on November 5th, 2021, Kalyl won again in Fighters Rep 11, completely overwhelming his opponent Melo Pamuk and winning by unanimous decision. His brother Gabriel Silva was fighting on the same card that night, but we all know how that went. Kalyl's famed father was present to see his son's accomplishments, marking the second successful combat sports debut for one of Silva's children following Gabriel's debut in 2019. The oldest Silva sibling was also supposed to compete on the same card, which was held in California, but he had to pull out due to an injury. Other UFC news. Joanne Calderwood expects UFC President Dana White to stage something of a free-for-all event to crown the next UFC flyweight title challenger, while the new UFC light heavyweight champion Glover Teixeira gets a key to the city in Danbury, Connecticut. An octagon version of the Hunger Games? Joanne Calderwood criticized Lauren Murphy Murphy for her poor performance against Valentina Shevchenko and suggested that UFC President Dana White organize a free-for-all event with the winner facing current UFC women's flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko for a championship shot. Murphy defeated Calderwood in a split decision at UFC 263 to earn a shot at Valentina Shevchenko's flyweight belt. Shevchenko, on the other hand, dominated the battle and finished Murphy in the 4th round at UFC 266. With Valentina Shevchenko tearing up the competitors at 125 pounds, there aren't many evident options for her other than Amanda Nunes, who is the only woman and one of only 4 fighters in UFC history to hold 2 titles at the same time. Calderwood would of course relish the opportunity to dethrone the champion, even though she came up short twice on the verge of a title shot, losing to Jennifer Maia by submission and Lauren Murphy by a split call. She believes that she'd do a better job than Shevchenko's recent opponents. Calderwood said she's put a considerable amount of time and energy into making sure she turns up on fight night. She claims she felt weird on the day of her fight with Maia, which she accepted on short notice after a title fight with Shevchenko at UFC 251 was canceled, and passed out backstage during her medical test before her fight. Calderwood claims she tested positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday after the bout, implying that she was sick when she entered the cage, despite the fact that fighters are tested for the virus many times during fight week to make sure something like this doesn't happen. While it's one thing to declare you're the one to beat Shevchenko and another to actually do it, Calderwood can guarantee she'd put up a fight. Glover Teixeira awarded with the key to the city. Glover Teixeira, the new UFC light heavyweight champion, was honored with a parade in his hometown of Danbury, Connecticut. Teixeira won the 205-pound title by dominating Jan Blachowicz in the 2nd round of UFC 267 and was given the key to the city of Danbury. Teixeira, a longtime Danbury resident, has undergone one of the most spectacular comebacks in the sport's history. After losing 3 of his first 5 fights, the 42-year-old became the UFC's oldest first-time champion, winning 6 times in a row en route to the title. Those who have followed his career in MMA will be aware of how outstanding what he has accomplished is at the age of 42. When Teixeira faced John Jones for the title in 2014, he was on an 8-fight winning streak, despite the fact that he was unsuccessful in his attempt and went on to trade victories and defeats till the start of 2019. Teixeira was undeterred. In January 2019, the Brazilian began his hot streak with a first-round submission victory over Carl Roberson. He would go on to beat Ian Cutelaba with a win via submission, utilizing a rear naked choke, which earned him a performance bonus. After a split decision victory against Nikita Krylov, he returned to the bonus column with a TKO victory over Anthony Smith. Teixeira would next submit Thiago Santos, further extending his winning streak to 5 before dethroning then light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz, achieving a lifelong dream. Who knows how long Glover can keep his place at the top at the age of 42, with many fans guessing that his first defense will be against Jiri Prochazka, the top contender, but that's a topic for another time. How does Glover Teixeira match up against the #1 contender? Subscribe to our channel to find out in a later video. Please leave a like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy our content.